Join me right now on Kumite TV is Eternal MMA strawweight newcomer Jada Ketley. What's going on, Jada?
Hey, I'm just gonna have to let you know, John, it's actually Jada.
Oh, Jada. Okay, Jada
Okay,
Ketley.
you won't
Okay.
be the first or the last to do that. I get that all the time.
All
But
right.
no, I'm great. Thanks for having me on your show.
All right. No problem. No problem. Well, I love when people correct me because sometimes fighters don't even correct me. They just let me say it the way that I say it. So thank you.
Oh, it's okay. I usually sometimes I have moments where like I meet people and they just call me that, but nah, I want people to know like what my actual name is, and I think a lot of people like question it when they read my Instagram name. Is it Jada? Is it Jada? I've had a lot of like fight announcements where they call me Jada. And people come up and congratulate me afterwards and like, oh, Jada, that's an awesome fight. And I'm like, thanks.
All right. Well, the first thing I want to know is how do you go from being a model with no interest in martial arts to making your MMA debut after competing in Muay Thai?
Um, well, so when I was modeling in Thailand, it wasn't like I was like a full time. It was work here and there. I felt like at the time it was something I really wanted to do, but I was really um, unhappy with like when I was doing it, but I didn't realize, and I was super critical on myself. I spent a long period of time where I was like very obsessed with my appearance, unfortunately, and I thought like it was pretty much the only thing that mattered. And when I came back to Australia and I started training Muay Thai, I noticed as I got more into training, I started to worry about stuff like that less, like the way I looked. And because I was so focused and suddenly my time was being invested in something else, I didn't have enough time to be sitting and worrying about, oh, how do I look, and staring at photos and then comparing myself to other people on social media and stuff, which was like really unhealthy for me at the time. So, I mean, I never had intentions of being a fighter, even when I started training Muay Thai. And my dad used to say to me, Jada, like if you were to have a fight, and I'd tell him, no, Dad, I'm not going to fight. I don't want to do that. And I was trying to apply for a modeling agency here, Cats Models, and I kind of told them I was doing the Muay Thai training on the side, and they're like, "Oh, that's fine that you train, but you can't really compete because like you can't go to castings and be like bruised and everything." And when I ended up going over to Thailand to train and having a fight eventually, I just realized like I enjoyed this so much more than the modeling, and I just kept going that way with it.
Well, with the modeling, I think you could always go back to it. You see a lot of
Oh,
fighters doing it now.
I don't know. My face has copped a few, but I mean, I would, I would definitely wouldn't say no to like doing side work for it, because it's
Mm.
also good to like promote myself and for sponsorships and stuff like that. And it was fun. Sometimes when I'm having really, really rough days in the gym, I'm like, man, I miss getting pampered and like, being brought food and stuff. But no, it's something like I would still, if opportunities came up. But I want to stick with fighting though, as long as it didn't come between me and competing in martial arts. I'd be cool with that.
Now let's talk about cage Muay Thai. Walking into a cage with small gloves. How different of a game is that?
That was well, look, CMT Cage Muay Thai was not a great experience for me. It was the first time I'd really lost. I'd lost one time prior to that at the nationals, but it was kind of like that was a padded fight, and I just really, really gassed out. So it was kind of more like, okay, just work on my fitness. But this was the first time that I'd really been, I guess, like humiliated in my own way. Like I really, but it made me a lot more humble, because as I was fighting, people often said like, oh, you're getting so good, like you're probably going to beat everyone in your division. And I kind of I was definitely letting it get to my head at the time. And this was the fight that made me sit down and go like, okay, maybe there are people that are better, and I need to work harder. And look, it was different because those little gloves are something else. And I'd only been fighting for 8 months. I don't necessarily think I was ready for it, but I think it did happen when it was supposed to. And I definitely caved in a little bit in that fight. I was a totally different person back then, and I was still very new to fighting, and I was still a little bit pedantic about my face. But no, it's very different putting on those small gloves. Even now, I spar sometimes just real light technical in the small ones, and you can tell that there's just a very, very big difference compared to when you're in the 8s or 10s in Muay Thai. But I think that's what makes it really exciting as well, because you could be losing and then you just land one and the whole game changes. I think that's what those little gloves do. They keep it really, really exciting, and you can't look away because any moment it can change in a blink.
Well, I guess that experience will definitely, pay dividends as you move on in your MMA career, right? Trying to dig deep
Hmm.
later on when you need to.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So when I did fight on CMT, I was also wasn't like a great. I wasn't in a great headspace at the time, and I'd only been fighting 8 months, training just a little bit over, I think, just a year. Um, but it gave me a thing to walk away and be like, okay, I'll never let anyone, do that to me again. And before, I used to have fights after that, I would always go back and watch my CMT fight because I saw where I kind of like gave up, and it would like almost like burn inside to watch myself do that. And I always vow to never allow that to happen again. So it's kind of like a motivation for me every time I think about what happened in there, to just never quit, and to always, just, you're going to have to really do damage if you're going to finish me again like that. So yeah, and I haven't been stopped or anything since. And I only lost one time after that. So since then, I've been on a winning streak with a split draw decision breaking that winning streak. But yeah, I mean, I think in the end it was really positive for me to have that experience. And I think every fighter kind of needs a loss like that to really figure out, like, okay, I just got my ass whooped. Do I still want to be a fighter? Because it's easy to want to fight when you're on the winning end of the spectrum all the time and you're coming out untouched. But I think you really have to get beaten up to know whether or not, like, this is something you want to do, because it's inevitable that it'll happen, that you're going to get hurt. So I think it was a really positive experience for me overall.
You made the move to South Africa, I
I
think
did.
early last year. Am I right?
I went over in July
Hmm.
to do a 3-month trial, and then I came back, and 6 weeks after I'd been back, I made the move.
Okay,
So
now
yeah,
you've been out
there you
there
go.
grinding away, it's a great gym. I know, there's a lot of fighters that come out of that gym, a lot of champions, UFC guys. Talk about the coaches and the teammates that you have that helped you, develop into the fighter you are right now.
So we have one head coach, Richie Quan, and it's really, really good because Richie does all our wrestling, he does our stand up and our jiu-jitsu. But what's really, really positive about that is because our guys are so high level and there's such a system and sequence that he runs, if Richie has to be away overseas to be with another fighter, or he's got something going on, one of our higher Arky boys can step up and take on the role while he's away. It's been really great because, and I was just thinking about it today because I have had to have this prep without them. Um, it's awesome to be in that kind of environment, and they've really helped me because they just grind it out so much and they just train so hard, and it's almost to the point like, if you're there and you're not really putting in 100 and you see how hard they're working, you feel guilty. You're like, man, I that's what I should look like at the end of a session. That's how I should feel. And you see what's required. I mean, when I first went over and I was staying with Don Madge, I got to see firsthand what you have to do to be at that level, because he's just at a different thing mentally, physically. For me, I think that it's not going to be long before he takes the lightweight title. I undoubtedly know he'll be the champion for the lightweight UFC division. And I just was completely like, okay, this is what's required. I mean, I'd been putting in work, but then I saw firsthand what real work was, and it was really cool to shadow him. And everyone just really grinds it out, and it's a team. So, I mean, we've got great strikers, brilliant jiu-jitsu guys. We have like some of the best wrestlers. I mean, my teammate BK just had his debut in Japan, and he wrestled that guy dead for 3 rounds. It was incredible to see what he accomplished in there. And so I'm really lucky because going in there, I have whenever I'm lost in any aspect, I always have someone who I can turn to, and always have someone who's got so much knowledge to share with me. And it's just like a never ending thing of learning and learning and more learning, which is, I feel like that's what it's about, just always progressing and learning and having people to push you. So it now for me, I just can't imagine like where else I would want to go, like where else will even compare to who I've been training with and what I've been experiencing.
Yeah, it's great to see that you have found a place that you
Yeah.
feel so confident in, because a lot of people they kind of get stuck in,
Yeah.
their first gym, and it's not really the best place for them. So it's good that you have found the spot. Now, are you talking about the guy that just fought in Pancrase? He was suplexing.
Yes, that
Yeah,
is
that was
BK.
crazy. Like his movement is insane.
Oh, he's just so athletic, like it's ridiculous. And what's crazy is BK is like the most humble, most sweetest, down to earth person. Like he's just the nicest guy. You would meeting him and speaking to him, you would not expect him to go in there and just be that kind of savage. And even when he trains, like he's 5'1". He's not tall at all, but he like wrestles guys who are like 6 foot in our gym. And we always talk about how if BK was like 6 foot something, it would just be so unfair because it's crazy. You just watch him in the gym and everyone's always losing their nuts over what he can do. He's very, very talented. He's and he puts in the work. He's great.
I also saw that you got to train with Cris Cyborg a little bit, while in South Africa. Talk about that experience and kind of how it affected you.
Oh man, so the first time she came, I was back in Australia, so I missed out, and I was pretty bummed because I love Cyborg. She's awesome. And the second time when she arrived, I was like, okay, it's cool. I'm gonna keep it calm, you know. And I remember she walked into the gym. I get up and I see her, and I'm like, oh my god, there she is. Okay, be normal. It's fine. And I sat down, and she walks into the gym, and then she came over and like just introduced herself, and we spoke, and she was so also just like, you could tell she's like, well, I'm just like everyone else here. She doesn't like think that she's special or better. And that same day, we were doing jujitsu rounds, and I hear her call me from across the mat, and I'm walking over to her, and so many mixed emotions, and I'm rolling with her, and I'm trying to understand how here I am, like a young Australian girl in Johannesburg, South Africa, rolling with Cris Cyborg. And she's a beast. So she does her training's basically with the guys. I was like lucky when I got to jump in and get a go with her. It was, and she's so nice. Like, obviously she's like a lot bigger than I am, and she could probably crush me if she wanted, but she doesn't. She doesn't take advantage of that. She like allows you to work, and she flows with you. And it was just, oh man, it was so cool. And it just confirms, like, I already knew that Coach Quan University and Rich like was the best, but the fact that someone of that level and someone of that standard would also choose to come over and have her camp with us, just I feel like clarifies that really. And she also thinks that the team's just brilliant. So it was such an experience, and I'm so glad that I like got to have that. And I look forward to like seeing her in other camps. Yeah, it was so awesome.
You're gonna go make your pro debut, Eternal MMA 46. Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard that your team reached out for this fight. Have you had your eye on Casey O'Neill for a long time?
Look, no. So basically, I've come back to Australia because I needed to get my visa complete to stay long term in South Africa. And Richie was like, if you can get a fight over there, that would be really good, because also he'd seen that I'd been really itchy to fight. And it's kind of like difficult when you're training so hard and you're not really sure what's going to happen. And originally we would have liked me to have fought in amateur ranks in South Africa. And I was going to, but then because of my Muay Thai background, it was kind of like a no-go. I wasn't allowed. So Nick Atkins, who I do work with at Fight World, he said, well, look, there's this fight opportunity. And he sent me, the details of it. And Richie and I went over, Casey's last fight, and we did some stuff. And Richie gave me the green light to take it. So it wasn't something that like it kind of did just appear out of nowhere, but I've been training really hard consistently. So I've been like ready to fight for a while now, in the sense of like being fit and strong. Since I've had my professional strength and conditioning coach, Joshua, over there, my strength's increased a lot. So we were just kind of waiting for my groundwork to get to a certain stage before Richie was going to put me in there. And he was happy for me to take this fight. So yeah, it wasn't something where I was kind of in the background, like, oh, I'm going to get this girl. I actually didn't know much of Casey, and I knew only of Eternal because Chelsea Hackett, who I know had her MMA debut, so I started to like check them out. But no, it was kind of like a surprise for me too.
After watching some of Casey's fights, what do you think of her skill set?
I think that she's tough. Like she loves to come forward and brawl, and I can see that she's she can wear punches as well, which is like I think will make it fun because I also like, obviously I'm a stand-up fighter. I like to trade. I have seen some Swift Jiu-Jitsu from her, but I do roll and train with really, really high level belts. Like my coach has a certain standard in Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu with him for a year now, and I still don't have a stripe on my white belt just because he's so strict on it, and he wants everything to be perfect, and also wanting me to like compete more in Jiu-Jitsu competitions, which I started to do before I came back here. So I know that also in an MMA situation, jiu-jitsu is it's not the same as rolling with a gi or when you're just rolling and there is no ground and pound and gloves to kind of like change the dynamics of it. So I definitely obviously know that like I have to be wary of her ground game, but it's not something that I've let put me in a place where I'm like, oh, I'm worried about it. I feel like I still have to be confident and I still believe in myself. And so, but no, I think she's definitely talented. And a lot of people have said like, oh, this is a big fight for your first one. But I'm always happy to dive in deep. And I don't feel like I have anything to lose necessarily in this. I mean, I win, I get a title as my debut fight. And if I lose, well, I had a title shot and I'm sure I'll get another one. So.
Yeah, definitely. Now you are in the middle of fight week. Is there a different feeling heading into this fight compared to like your Muay Thai fights?
I think I've definitely the training. Look, I would say the training's a lot obviously different. As we're in Muay Thai, you train one thing, you train your Muay Thai. So I've had like my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu. I've taken my weight cut more serious this time because when I was training Muay Thai, I kind of like would just be like, oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't very smart in my weight cuts then, but I've had like a lot of help this time. And also, I mean, when I started Muay Thai, I was really, really small. I was like 47 kilos and I was walking around like that. And so I would only ever have to cut 2, 3 kilos, 4 kilos at a time. Once I went to South Africa and I was wrestling with like big guys and doing the strength and conditioning, and my eating got like a lot more intense because I was training so much. I did like actually muscle up a little bit. So it has been a bigger weight cut for me than normal, but I've actually like feeling the best I have throughout a weight cut before. Like I still have lots of energy. I've been able to like still eat really, really wholesome food. I'm really, really lucky. My teammate Chad, he's really, really smart with his nutrition and everything, has been helping me out. And we've been like speaking back and forth about my weight. So no, I think, I feel really good, like, to be honest. As where there have been times where I'm really feeling really crappy because I'm hungry or I haven't, but no, I'm feeling really, really good. And I've really enjoyed this prep. I mean, there are times where I was really wishing that I had Richie around and the guys at Coach Quan University, but a lot of them keep tabs on me over social media and we talk. So it's really nice to know that even over there, I still have some people who have my back while I'm all the way over here. And I have a really cool group of guys I've been working with while I've been here. So other than, obviously having to have a different sort of schedule for like stand-up wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and then having it all put together, no, I feel good for this prep.
You lay your head, down at night, how do you envision this fight playing out?
Oh man, I envision it all the time when I'm in the shower, when I'm driving. I believe a lot in visualizing things and feeling like I've already won before I have, in a sense. Um, I re- I really feel like I could finish this fight early. I think that Casey's super super talented, but I have seen some of the opponents that she's had, and I know that I punch really hard. I've been told by a lot of people that I'm freakishly strong for my size, and that I can hit really hard. And I've never, gotten to lay my hands on someone properly in 4 ounce gloves. So I think that there's a chance that that could happen. I can't predict where to. She's got ground strength. I think my stand up's a lot stronger, definitely. I would love to get my first knockout for this fight.
You have a lot of time left in this year. What are the plans for you? Do you have other plans? You're just gonna go back to South Africa and get back to the grind?
So after I fight, I'm gonna spend a couple of weeks still here because I haven't really spent any time with my family. My mum's like, "You're here and I never see you because you're always at the gym." I mean, they get it though; they're really supportive. So I just want to have like 2 weeks to do what I want, enjoy the beach, enjoy the beautiful weather here, eat the foods that I want, enjoy time with my family, and then I'll go back to South Africa on the 11th of August, get back into the grind, and Richie and I will like plan from there what the future is, and yeah, I trust Richie. He's always got every student's best intention. He's got a plan for everyone who's putting in the work. So and we've discussed future ideas before. We had lunch before I was coming back here and discussing some things we would like to pan out. So when I get back there, I guess we'll get to follow it up.
All right. Well, before you go back, you get the fight. July
Yeah,
27th, Eternal MMA
I'm so
46.
excited.
The
So
strawweight
excited.
title is on the line. Some
Yeah,
excitement going on in your life. Thank you, Jada,
yeah.
for your time, and good luck
No,
on everything and anything in your future.
thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. It's been great.